Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the penultimate round of the Race Department Challenge. We are here at Jacarepagua, hard to say, hard to drive, and we are technically round A from deciding champion for Season 6. We've seen some contact, we've seen some fantastic racing, and what a track to bring the cars to for Week 5, Liam Jenkins.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody. It's been a real pleasure to be, commentating on this series throughout its entirety, and I'm sure we're going to see nothing short of exciting racing this afternoon. Of course, this track really is something different though. It's half oval and then of course got that brilliant infield section, making turn 1 so vital but so tricky to master as well, because it's such a sharp braking point. We've already seen earlier in not only the qualifying session but in the practice session as well, just how many drivers can get caught out by its tricky, tight and twisty ways. So we'll see who can master this one. But in qualifying, the man to master it was Dan Allinson. Now, he was actually struggling a bit earlier on. He actually kind of turned off his team speed to try and get really focused down and put 110% into that car, and that did him very rightly so, taking that pole position in which could be a deciding factor in this race.
Definitely an interesting qualifying, it must be said. New man Michael Grautigam took P2, with Jordi Casademont taking P3. Definitely a star of the show. He's been improving steadily all season, but I was never, to be brutally honest, expecting him to be reaching the heights of P3 in qualifying. Following him is Tamas Foth. Jimmy Hughes, currently championship leader by 3 points, is down in 5th, with people like Levine, Mark Gormley, Nick Hughes, Van Schmidt and De Wilt rounding out the top 10. So it's definitely a different qualifying to what we've had before, with new men up at the front. And as you said before, this turn 1 is extremely difficult to master with a sharp braking zone, so we're predicting possibly a bit of a argy-bargy. But let's hope for none of that, because especially after last week, we know how bad contact can get and how much it can ruin, especially the championship standings.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that this track is going to be more dividend than any, just due to its sheer nature as well. As they can see, the new man to take the series by storm at the moment. I'm sure if there is a next season of the Minis, he'll be the first man on the sign-up list if this race does go his way. But in terms of championship, obviously it's still between Jimmy Hughes and then Dan Allinson, and Jimmy down in 5th position. He's going to have to try and work for that today. A lot of those guys in front of him though, you guys like Casademont, who are going to really want to push for them and show them what they can do. As you said, he's been in a constant learning curve, that man, and really showing the world what he can do in terms of driving ability, and has excelled all our expectations this afternoon in the qualifying session. We'll see if he can carry over that into the race, and maybe even see if he can end up on the podium. But he could be one of those factors which stop Jimmy Hughes from reaching Dan Allinson.
Just to give you an idea of how the championship table sits, we currently have Jimmy Hughes on 176 points, with the 2 worst results dropped. Dan Allinson is 3 points behind him. Then we go back a good few points to Nick Hughes, who's down on 155. Then it's back to a 3-way battle between Gormley, Van Schmidt and Foth. Then it's another small battle after a jump to Casademont, Kuthil and Ross. And then Eric Anderson is down in 10th. He's on the lonesome 124. So even though we have people who are trying to get to the top, who's trying to be, winning this race to advance their championship charges, such as Jimmy Hughes, Dan Allinson, Nick Hughes, these results for Casademont, for example, will really boost their chances of winning those small inter-championship battles, which they now find themselves embroiled in. So about 3 minutes left of warm-up to go. Let's just give you a few extra ways to get involved. If you're watching on Sim Race TV, please do come over to Race Department. We have a good number of people watching and also talking about the race. It's a great community, so keep on coming and watch over there, get involved. Also, if you want to ask us questions on Twitter, make sure to hashtag RDMCC and send them either to myself at Captain Kirk F1 or at Liam J Sim Racing. So, with rather interesting grid we have, who do you think is going to be going for the win? I mean, myself personally, I think it's surely got to be Dan Allinson, because we've seen his pace. Second in the championship, he's got, as far as we're aware, a clear road ahead of him.
Indeed, but I think there's going to be one man pushing maybe a little bit harder than Dan, and that's going to be Jimmy Hughes. Now, obviously, there's a 3-point gap between the two of them, but Jimmy starts down in P5. He's going to need to try and push as hard as he can, maybe even drive a champion's drive, if you understand the term, and see if he can really come alive, because this could be the one which decides this round. If he does not put in the performance of a lifetime, does not catch Dan Allinson, especially around this circuit, catching is one thing and passing is another. It's all down to driving technicalities and how well you understand the circuit and how you understand the car. So we'll see what Jimmy can do, but I think he's definitely going to be one hungry man to try and take a victory today.
Keep in mind, though, that we've seen the likes of Jimmy and Allinson come from the back of the grid, even in the 100% reverse grid for race 2, if you remember the past results. I mean, we've seen Dan Allinson win, I think, from the back, and the same is pretty much for Jimmy Hughes, but they have to get past cream of the crop for this particular track, and I think that is where Jimmy's going to fall down. I think the only real thing which will trouble Allinson possibly is this first turn, because we have seen people get entanglements from qualifying and practice, so let's hope and let's not dare fate as to what's going to happen, but possibly people from behind pressuring people in front might have a factor yet play in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this could be one of the most hotly contested races of the season by far, just surely due to the amount of variation of people we've got up there. We've got the guys like Marco, the new man coming into this series and really stamping his authority all over it. Casademont, who wants to try and make an impression and show what he's worth, and maybe, you know, potentially including the team's championship next year, get himself in there with a good team. He's got a lot of potential and looking to strive off of this atmosphere here today. But obviously then you've got Jimmy Hughes and Dan Allinson, who are both pushing victory. So that top 5 alone is going to promise some exciting racing. Then you've got the 20 to 30 odd cars all streaming behind them. And we've seen in the past just how congested it can really get around some of these tighter circuits. And I'm sure this circuit is going to be no exception either. I think probably the most key part of it, as you said, is going to be turn 1. It's a very, very tricky corner to get right time after time after time. Let alone one time alone, to be honest. It's such a tricky left-hander because you're coming up maximum speed in those mini, topped off to the top of the rev limiter and just straight down the gears, and it can really catch a couple of drivers out, especially if those tyres are warm. But we'll have to see what happens during the race as the warm-up timer hits 0 and Dan Allinson will line up on the grid in pole position. But question is, can he convert that pole position into a victory?
Absolutely. So remember, guys, 25 minutes plus whatever remains of the lap that the lead car is on. That is the length of the race that we have to watch out for. Quite a few people have been caught out of it for it. Dan Allinson, no least himself, he's had a couple of issues with Jimmy Hughes trying to keep him behind. He then gets ahead and he wins the race. So we'll have to see whether Allinson's ability to defend better has definitely improved over the season, and this will be a true test of his skill to see whether he is a true champion. So as we now count down, we have the 5 lights going out in 3, 2, 1, and we are racing, and it's a decent start by Allinson and Broughtingham actually already getting ahead of the grid. A brilliant start by Casademont as well, coming up on the right side. Broughtingham trying to look out to the right, but he's too far behind Allinson, and as we pile down into turn 1, Casademont seeming to have lost out to quite a couple of drivers there, I think, and look at them all piling through, surprisingly. No contact, no! Excellent, so there we go. Allinson now putting out a good lead. Casademont still holding on to 3rd, but we've got Jimmy Hughes up to 4th. He's going to be wanting 3rd into this corner as the 2 of them compiling in. Looks like Casademont might just be able to hold on around the outside. Indeed he does. He manages to maintain 3rd. Tamas Foth is up to 5th, a great start by him. Gormley up to 6th, another good start. Van Schmidt up to 7th. Levent down to 8th. De Wilt up to 9th. And Anderson maintains 10th place as Casademont goes on the defensive of Jimmy Hughes. You can already see how impressive this man is looking as he looks to the inside again for this corner. And oh, is he through? I'm not quite sure. Oh, he's going to be
still side by side. It's still close to the drag race now. Then down the straight, he still holds that inside line though. See if he can try and take that inside. Oh, it's very close indeed. Then kind of slammed the door. Casademont not going to give this one up without a fight. Yeah, Jimmy Hughes, the title contender, but Casademont got a lot more to prove than this. What better way to do it? They're still side by side throughout the entire lap, and Casademont is just reluctant to give up. He's going to fight every last breath he has within him for this position, but I think Jimmy Hughes just may have the better of him, and up to third already, and we haven't even completed a lap yet. As we come in towards this penultimate corner, let's see what he can do now then, in towards a very, very tight hairpin. Casademont got to be careful, he doesn't make a mistake, because you've got a very, very hungry Mark Gormley just behind him, closely followed by Tamas Foth. This will be the prime opportunity to gain a slipstream though. Can he do it? Practically bump drafting down this straight, the oval aspect of racing coming into play here, but I think you can see Jimmy Hughes move to the inside and covers that position, so very well played there by Jimmy Hughes, and this man definitely on a charge. You can see Allinson trying to pull away in the foreground.
Yeah, good start then for Allinson and Broutagam. I think fair play to Casademont for holding off Hughes for a full lap there. Very impressive, and a testament to his newfound abilities on this circuit, supposedly. Gormley, though, is going to be on. He's going to be hoping to pressure Casademont sometimes or later. But the issue for him now is, like we said, you've got to watch out for the people behind. And Tamas Foth is definitely looking to get past Gormley for this past lap as well. So, come now onto this straight before, I believe, the final corner. Dan Allinson pulling out quite a nice gap, and Broutagam not really making indent on this lead. So it would be interesting to see whose tyres holds up the best, and if they're going to lose any tyre deg at all. Jimmy Hughes seems to have pulled out though from Casademont, who's going to sooner or later be falling back into the grasp of Mark Gormley and Foth. Van Schmidt, Leven, De Wilton, Hughes round out the top 10. Anderson losing out, he's now in 11th.
Indeed, there you can see then that bright green and white car of Allinson, but it's got to be said though, that Broutagam's not giving up, is he? He's definitely sticking it to Dan Allinson at the moment as they cross the line for the third time. You can see just behind them though, Hughes isn't too much, well, he's not pulling too much of an advantage away from Casademont either, so Hughes may have his work cut out for him today. We say, it's all very well Hughes trying to catch them, but if he doesn't have the pace, it's not too much use for him. So you can see Allinson's got more of a problem now trying to cope with the new man, who's definitely impressed so far. He's held on to that second spot after Allinson took a dominant start to the race. So let's see what he can do from here. If he can go out and take a victory today, I think he wins the Underdog of the Year award.
Absolutely, but let's give the rest of the race. We still have 21 minutes or so to go. So there's a lot which can change in that time. We for certain know that after all the past races this season, with no contact or with contact. Nevertheless, Broutagam seems to be, he's not losing pace at all to Allinson, but keeping a good distance. And I think, for new men like this, it's all about impressing. And if he manages to sign up for next season, hopefully, as we are about to go on to, I believe, lap 3 now, he certainly could be a championship contender. It's a shame that he couldn't have joined in earlier. We also have actually another returning man, Ferreira. As goodness me, Broutagam almost taking the back of Allinson there, out, very late braking, but no contact still, so good on both drivers to stay out of each other's hair. But look at this gap now back to Jimmy Hughes. I mean, the two of them are just pulling away, and I think it must be said, it's probably because of Dan Allinson's speed combined with the slipstream that Broutagam is getting off of Dan Allinson. I think that's the only sensible reason to suggest why, because there's such a gap now between second and third. It really is quite unbelievable. But looking back down the field, no real changes. People still pressuring each other. I see Cordice going through there, Hall Nelson, there's Scott Webber going through as well. And it's just nice, clean racing. A change, a very far cry from last week actually, so excellent to see everyone staying out of each other's hair, really.
Indeed, we'll see how that continues throughout the rest of the races. You can see Jimmy there just trying to pull away from that 712 car, currently piloted by Casademont, who does go wide, so a bit of a commentator's curse there. Let's see if Gormley can maybe try and pull alongside and capitalise from that. I think he's a bit too far away at the moment, but nonetheless still looking very hungry. And Mark Gormley again would love a good result this afternoon. He's had quite a varied season, but looking to try and blow the winds of change here around Jacarepagua. Looks to the inside, that's a very tight line to take through there, but forces the gap wide open, slams the door off its hinges, but a very late braking manoeuvre from Casademont secures he holds on to that P4 for now. Let's see what Mark Gormley can do from here. Casademont looking like he's had to try and fight a lot harder than that to try and hold this one off.
Yeah, Mark Gormley, remember, got his first win of the season last, 2 weeks ago I should say, so no wonder he's looking for more places now. He'll be matching, I think, his second best result if he manages to get past Casademont, but remember, Tamas Foth on the back of him there. he's no slouch himself. He's been on the podium before, and he's going to be looking to get past the Silent Killer, as we named him, as Gormley goes very wide there. Tamaswell right on the back of him, but not much doing round this left-hander. But now we're going on to this tight right-hander, followed by, I think, another right-hander and then a straight. He's going to be trying to stick on the back of him until they get to the main straight, of course. Here's Van Schmidt, steadily improving all season after a bit of a first race nightmare. As here we have Levine under pressure from DeWilt going into this right-hander, and DeWilt gets the job done very nicely. But look at this, it's a 4-car train now. DeWilt, Levine, Hughes and Anderson all in the fight there. Don't forget Ferreira also behind there, and oh goodness me, and Levine cutting across Nick Hughes there, who's third in the championship. Remember, this will not do wonders for his charge, and he might even fall back as Anderson has a little look, or is he pulled out the slipstream very early. Nick Hughes looks to the inside, and here we go into turn 1. Nick Hughes, oh, outbraking himself and almost taking Anderson with him, but once again, no harm done. And I believe we're on lap 5 now, 17.5 minutes to go. Great battles up and down the field as Ferreira attempts to hook onto this back of the 4-man train at the moment.
Yeah, so let's see what he can do from here. Thing is, though, with this kind of packed racing and the track named the way it is, it's very tight and twisty. There are only a few real overtaking opportunities, and one of those being the final corner and the opening corner. Apart from that, it's mainly just kind of traditional Watkins Glen racing, I call it, where the majority of the time you're stuck on your opponent's rear wing, which is unable, the cars that are just behind you, to catch up because you're braking earlier to compensate for that fact. So we could see guys like Lars Brugman, who you're looking at the moment, maybe try and get in there for a hunt of a top 10 just purely because of the style of racing which your drivers have to adapt to this afternoon.
I think that is Andre actually who we're looking on, because there's the distinctive M&M's livery of Scott Webber, currently down in P17. Actually done pretty well in these opening laps. He qualified P20, so a 3-place position gain. He's not going to complain with that whatsoever. As we now look at Venari, who last week we labelled him with the overtaking move of the year for certain on his overtaking move round the outside of a downhill incline to the left. I mean, I would highly recommend you go back and watch the broadcast from last week. It was an amazing move. It's a shame really to see him down in P19, a driver who can pull off such a move, but that is the way racing goes, and if you don't have the pace, you're not going to be up at the front, unfortunately. Looking back down the field, we have Bishop there in P20, Venn in P21, David Kuthil in P22. He's a weird one there. He did pretty well last week to get into the midfield, but he's always excelled in race 2 purely because he has the pace to defend, ever pace to move forward, and we've seen him fall back here yet again as we now go on board with Hall Nelson in the quite distinctive Lotus livery, I'd say. But looking up at the front of the field, looks pretty much all the same. Allenson in P1, Brautigam in P2, Hughes in P3 as, oh goodness me, I think that's number 08, that's Lucas Deggan going very wide. And yes, I'm just very happy that no one's collided, as far as I can see anyway. Because, I mean, it was such a low point for the series, I think. Even though it makes exciting racing, it really does put people on a negative slant about, you know, why should we race when people are crashing into each other. Good to see that's not the case this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think towards the end of the season, the drivers have just matured, not only in terms of driving style, but they've learned to respect their competitors. And I think that a lot of the members already experienced that. But the new guys coming in, who maybe haven't had a taste of competitive league racing before, have had to adapt to the scenarios. And because of that, you're obviously going to see a couple of rookie errors, as they're so called. But apart from that, it's all been very clean, very professional, and just traditional touring car style racing to a full extent. So really great to see the actual potential out there of all the drivers paying off, and that no one is going to waste just down to the sheer lack of respect. Everyone has the same utmost amount of respect to each other. There's always great activity in the forums, great sounds of positivity in the team speak, and it's good to see there's a buzzing atmosphere around the paddock, and you don't really get that with too many leagues. So I think that really could impact the racing in the future for definite.
Noticing there, Dave Begley has retired. I think fair play to him. He did qualify last, but the man has a broken arm, and so I think it's a real privilege to have someone with such commitment to come and race here with a broken arm. Obviously he's retired now, so either a bit of pain or a mistake somewhere, but a real shame to see him out so early in the race. Or we've got 30 minutes to go, so wasn't out so early indeed. And who's this? This is 37. This is Van Schmidt. under huge pressure from Levine. He's fallen back quite a bit actually. I'm not sure what happened there. But oh goodness me, Levine's might have the position if he's got the run on him here. He'll have the outside line into turn 1, and Van Schmidt may just have it. Looks like Levine's going to try and cut across. And goodness me, is he going to make it? Oh, it's going to be very, very tight. Will Van Schmidt run him wide enough? And oh my goodness me, they're still side by side going onto this massive back straight going down to turn 2. No one's getting away from each other, but Van Schmidt will have the inside line. And indeed, yes, he manages to hold on just about. It's a very close battle between himself, Levine, and Ferreira. And but Levine seems to have got the cutback on him. But now it's going to be the inside line for Van Schmidt. And oh, is Levine going to go around the outside? Yes, he does. A fantastic move and perseverance from Levine means that he is up into P9. As goodness me, this is Anderson behind there as Ferreira attempts to go on the inside as well. Oh goodness me, the two teammates, Van Schmidt and Anderson, absolutely mugged there, it appears, by the field. The two of them have fallen down to P11 and P12, so a nightmare somewhere has occurred. And well, the result, or the position speaks for itself, as Ferreira's had a very, very nice exit of that right-hander. It almost bumps into the back of Levine as he goes wide, and oh goodness me, Ferreira just about keeping out of the rear side of Levine. Very close racing, but yet again no real dramas as of yet. Just having a look up the further up the field, the front 5 seem to have spaced out quite a bit. As goodness me, Van Schmidt suicide bombing down on the inside there, and that's from the moves that we weren't expecting him to make. You know, we thought we'd learned from this, but obviously not, and because of that error, his teammate Anderson's gone ahead of him as well. But looks once again. When have we lost the broadcast? We haven't, just about. No, Anderson just about holding on around outside. You'll have the inside for this turn. Van Schmidt, well done, sir. Gotten back around his teammate. And wow, it's definitely all kicking off in the midfield.
Yeah, no shortage of excitement as you go through the field there. You can see Van Schmidt really did pull off a great manoeuvre there. And it's even more tense as well, especially when it's your teammate. The last thing you want to do is go for a silly manoeuvre which could wreck both of your races, especially this late in the championship. As you take a look at Nick Hughes, of course, Jimmy's brother, who's in P8 at the moment, not too far behind his brother. His brother still currently in P3, which means he is behind the possibly Rookie of the Year award contender. He's done a sterling job so far, I think it has to be said. But let's see what Nick can do here then. Looking to try and force his way through the field, hopefully score some more championship points today, maybe even get himself in the mix here. So he's currently following, of course, DeWelt, beg your pardon. So yeah, into the final corner. He hasn't gone a bit too far. I think the good thing about that corner is there's plenty of runoff areas. So I would say runoff area, there's plenty of room to go wide. It's not going to punish you too much if you do make a mistake. I think we saw that very luckily earlier with Van Schmidt's incident earlier on, but it did cost me a couple of positions. There is a long back straight afterwards, as you're witnessing now, where you can just gain so much more momentum. So if you do make a mistake, it can see a bit in the long run, but in terms of the corner, they played it very nicely there. So especially with these minis being quite small and compact, there isn't too much room for error there that's going to punish you too badly. So let's see what Nick can do, try and use that track knowledge to his advantage. Because right now, Allison's not having this all his own way at all, is he, James?
No, definitely not. Brougham seems to have slowly but surely reeled him in quite a bit. As we can see, he's still leaving Jimmy Hughes and Casa de Mud in the dust, and it appears that Foth has gone past Gormley. But let us focus on this battle at the front here. Allinson not pulling away like I was suggesting earlier. In fact, if anything, he's looking for a manoeuvre in these next two corners. We'll see as we go on to the next lap now whether he can get a slipstream into turn 1. It's going to be very hard, especially at this corner. It's not really an overtaking manoeuvre unless you're solidly on the inside of the car as you're going into the corner. Allinson nicely outbraking Brougham, but of course you've got this massive back straight on the oval circuit. And look at Allinson here, very clever, moving to the middle ground. Brougham not quite sure what he's going to do. He's going to move back out to the right. He's going to get the best swing into this massive left oval corner now. Brougham not giving up though. He is very impressive actually on his first outing here. Very surprised by his pace, and it's, as I said, I mean, Rookie of the Year, very possibly. We'll have to see how he does next race, of course, before we decide that, I think. But definitely certainly a fantastic effort from Michael to stay this close to the man who's second place in the championship so far.
Yeah, the Spaniard really trying to take the fight to him, and Allison need victory today, and he knows that. And with Jimmy Hughes just in this spot, almost sandwiched now between the rookies, it's going to be very interesting to see what Hughes can do, because if these two do get their coats of armours on and head into a war zone, then I'm sure that Jimmy's just going to be creeping up the back stairs, and maybe you'll get ready to get. You can see him there in the background going under the Goodyear sign, just going to get the popcorn out and getting that perfect spectator seat for this battle. Because if there is a little bit of a nudge or a bit of an incident, then you can see Nicky right there getting ready to try, or Jimmy, I beg your pardon, to try and capitalise on this moment as they go in towards his final corner once again. How close does Brankman get this time? No, close enough, I don't think. Going to really need to try and find something more than that one, but there come the cavalry. There you've got Hughes, Casademont, Tamas Foth, done very well so far there, holding on that P5, Gormley P6, and then he's still with a battle there with Jimmy's brother Nick, and then DeWelt as well. Then, of course, then the rest of the field flying through, still looking very promising.
Oh, someone's gone wide there. I think that's Brogdon gone off there at turn 1. But yeah, I think it's Levine, Ferrero. Look at this, we've got Scott Webber there. Venari's got past Scott Webber. Excellent to see that he's up to P16. And that's Andre Anderson in P18. Don't get too excited there. But actually, looking at Anderson now, he's got past Fanschmidt again for P11. So still excellent racing to go as we have 7 minutes left. I think an interesting factor, of course, is Hughes will not be happy with the pace he's got at the moment, given that Allenson and Brautigam are clearly fast. But remember, we have the 100% reversed grid for race 2, so he still might have a chance to get back some points on his championship rival at the moment. And this turn 1 really is devilish. I really do envy the drivers who managed to get round it, because the wall as well on the exit especially is so tricky to get right, as goodness me. Only been away with them for a few seconds, and Allenson and Brautigam are already on the next lap as we come around turn 1 once again. Brautigam, really, I mean, you would have thought the slipstream would have had quite a big effect here. Not so, as it appears. No one's really made any decent moves into turn 2, which we're coming up to now. Brautigam tucking in nice behind him, but he's going to have to make up ground later in the lap, it appears. Allenson seemingly having geared his car perfectly for the race, as we have 6 minutes left to go.
Oh, indeed, Allenson really does not give this one up. We saw a hardly practiced earlier, as I mentioned, completely went into that zone where only a few drivers now to get to it, completely focused on what's going on the screen and nothing else at all, as Brautigam looking very feisty. He would love to take a victory on his first race in this series. That'd be absolutely incredible. Let's see what he can do here then, as he tries to put pressure on the championship contender. Does he look to the inside him? No, he doesn't. Does take a little bit later though to try and get a bit of a run as they come down this short straight now before heading in towards Rahana. Does he look to the inside? No, dips back under, gets some clean air under the bonnet, and look how close he gets now to the rear wing. Careful not to lose the downforce there though, take a bit of curb, but it really is exciting stuff now, and Allenson must be feeling this wave of pressure. The rookie is piling upon him. That 0-0 car, I didn't think anyone expected him to be this quick. The whole team speak were really buzzing with excitement to see just how quick this man could go. Does Allenson go wide a little bit, but not enough for a substantial manoeuvre to come off for Brautigam? Let's see what he can do here. Can he get in that slipstream as they come down the back straight? These aren't stock cars they're driving. There is not that much of an advantage, but of course I think what we've learned here, you touched on a point a few moments ago, James, that we do have a reverse grid, so no matter what happens here today, when we go into that reverse grid, we've seen in race 1 for sure that passing can be very, very tricky. As you can see now, there's just no way around Allenson blocking every corner, parking his car perfectly. We see that in race 2 by a few of the guys a bit further up the field, guys like Fanschmidt, like Bruggen, like Scott Webber, who will be right in the middle of that field. Then I think we could see some very close racing and some unexpected results on our hands.
Yeah, I must admit, this track has seen less overtaking than I was expecting. I was really expecting more from this as we now go on board with this battle still between Ferreira and Levine and the two teammates Anderson and Fanschmidt. But yeah, it really is surprising for me. It appears that pace is the determining factor. Oh goodness me, Anderson just about clipping Ferreira's rear bumper there, and now it appears Levine is going to be right on the back of Anderson, looking into this right-hand turn. Nothing doing there. It's a very hard one to overtake on, but he's going to be right on the back of it. Oh, maybe not. Goodness me, Anderson appears to have taken that left-hander very, very well. As we now go into the final turn, no doing there, but a 4-car train makes for very exciting racing as we now enter the final 3.5 minutes. We're crossing the line just about now, and no, it looks like, again, I mean, slipstream not having as much of an effect here as I would have liked, to be honest. We would like to see more overtaking. As goodness me, is that Levine on Anderson, and he's through. Oh my goodness me, the cars are tail to tail, and now Anderson's going to be on the outside line for turn 2. Levine on the inside. Does he have enough pace to hold off Anderson as we go into this right-hander? Ferreira cuts across, and oh goodness me, a massive moment for Anderson, almost losing it, but thankfully keeping it on track. But he's going to have his teammate now, Van Schmidt. We've seen these two racing very well before. Anderson holding the inside line. Van Schmidt, nothing doing there for this time as we go around for the last 2 minutes and a bit. It's very, very close stuff indeed. Looks like the two returning drivers even putting away very well, and we're going to be into two teammate battles almost as to who is the better teammate. And trust me, this is massive. You always the old saying goes, doesn't it? The first man or woman that you want to beat in a race is your teammate, and bragging rights will certainly be what these men want as we enter the final corner. Once again, 2 minutes to go. Allinson still leading from Broughtigam, Hughes, Castellum at 4th, Gormley, Nick Hughes, De Wilt, Ferreira and Levine rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, indeed they go, and here we go. Got some side-by-side action here then round the outside. Can Levine try and get this done? Not quite there. But of course, time running out now as they can see the two teammates once again as Van Schmidt and his teammate go head and try and sort this battle out. As they can see, there is Casa de Monte trying to catch Nick Hughes. He's not letting him run away with this at all. Jimmy's just biding his time at the moment, keeping his car there for a steady 3rd place, while this battle for the lead rages on into the final minute and a half. We've hit that mark now then, so we should have maybe one more lap after this, I should assume, depending on when they cross the start-finish line. I think that's going to be the case, yeah, which means one more opportunity for this young man to try and stamp his mark and take a victory on his opening race in the series. Allinson needs this race, so he needs his victory to try and establish some sort of championship leader.
Yeah, remember, its 2 worst results dropped, and Jimmy Hughes, if I can remember, has the more wins, and so wins really are what Allinson needs as we cross the line for the final lap. Bailing into turn 1, Bradcam looks, but he doesn't see, and as we go into turn 1, he's keeping a very good watching brief of Allinson going onto his back straight. He is closer than ever to try and take advantage of some slipstream. Is he close enough? Is there anything to be doing here? It doesn't look like, as Allinson actually looks like he's pulling away despite the power of the slipstream. Going into turn 2, this massive oval left-hander. Allinson still holding on. And yep, he's looking good as Broughtigam tries to look to the inside. Allinson has the to head into this right-hander. Up now to the hill, to the next left-hander we go. We will be finishing at the end of this lap with Hughes in 3rd, Custom in 4th, Foss in 5th and Gormley 6th. We still have the battle there at the back for 9th and 10th, but let us still focus on this battle. Allinson, he's not getting away from Broughtigam. It must be said, he must be under huge pressure as we go into his left-hander, the penultimate corner. As we go onto the final, so I should say the penultimate straight now. Will Broughtigam have anything to say into the final corner as they turn now? Allinson looks like he may just be able to hold it. And yes, indeed, as we cross the line, it is Dan Allinson winning here at Jacarepagua with Broughtigam, the very impressive rookie for P2. Jimmy Hughes comes home 3rd with Cassidy at 4th, Foss 5th. And look at this battle back here. We've got Gormley, Hughes and De Wilt battling over the line, and Gormley takes it from Nick Hughes, from De Wilt. And then back here we got Ferreira and Levine. Oh my goodness me, that's very close as well, and Ferreira just takes it from Levine. Then we've got Anderson and Benedetto, then Brugman. Where on earth has Van Schmidt gone? He's dropped off the order somewhere. A mare for him in the last 2 laps. then crosses the line. Scott Webber, very good race for him, 3 places up. And then Sam Fuller, Andre, Vinari, Bishop, Axelson, and Kuthil rounds out the top 20. So practically no contact, and a very, very deserved race win for Allinson, especially considering the excellent pace of Newman Broughtigam.
Oh, definitely. I think he's... Sorry, my mic was off then, but definitely
No
put in a performance worthy of a victory there. Pushed Allinson right down to the final moment. It really was exceptional to watch, and I'm sure he'll be even more hungry going in towards race 2. Because I'm sure Allinson, though, on the other hand, will be extremely happy with that result. He did what was needed on a track which was not his strongest point, and that's what you need to do as a champion. If you want to be a champion or a race winner, you've got to take the circuits where you're not strong at all and make them your strongest. Make that track where you can go into it and go, okay, I can know I put in fine performance here and really show the world what I'm made of, and that's exactly what Allinson did today. Hughes did an exceptional job coming up from 5th position to cross the line in P3, so good job by him. But of course, this could be crucial as we head into the final race of this weekend and then the final round in a few weeks' time. But also, I think the talk of that race has to be Brantigan did a really, really good job. So, well, going into race 2, I'm not sure what to expect, really, because these guys are going to be starting from the back of the field on a circuit where it's notoriously hard to overtake.
What should be interesting is see whether Begley returns for race 2. The man with the broken arm might be on pole position, which will be very, very interesting to see. I'm not sure about the other retirements, so we'll have to wait until after the next warm-up session, I believe, before we find out the results of that. But remember, 100% reverse race grid. It's the same time limit as before, 25 laps plus whatever rest of the lap the leader has to complete. But yeah, as you say, very hard to overtake, much harder than I was expecting, because there's lots of corners supposedly prime for overtaking, but hardly anything doing there. In fact, even harder than last week, it must be said. So yeah, definitely interesting to see how this will affect the tables, actually. Oh, that reminds me, we have actually got some penalties pending the last couple of weeks. They still have yet to go through, but that may yet affect the championship standing. So remember, this is all provisional. We will bring you up to date with that hopefully in 2 weeks' time, when I believe we're at Taruma. But yeah, we'll wait now until race 2, which would be very interesting. I mean, no Ken Hunter unfortunately this week, I believe, so no Hunter Horde like last week. That was absolutely brilliant to watch. It'll be interesting to see how the slower drivers deal with it this time, because as far as we were concerned, the back of the grid, it was an absolute melee. And so, oh, actually, Begley wasn't the first to retire. My apologies. There's Neil Harvey in P2. Who's P1 then? There we are. Yeah, Begley's definitely P3. Neil Harvey P2. And actually, no one's come to P1. And so we are starting the race. And Neil Harvey there, he's off, yeah, into the lead. That's an excellent start actually from the two of them, as Hall Nelson takes P3 away from Fan Schmidt. He retired in the end then, a terrible end of the race for him, as piling down into turn 1. Once again, nothing really bad happening there. So, off we go. Harvey has had a P2 before, I know that for certain, so it's a good start from him. Begley, the man with the broken arm, holding on to P2 reasonably well. Hall Nelson there is going to be in P3, but you must say that the race will be looking very juicy for Fan Schmidt. He definitely has front runner pace, and he will be wanting to get past these three as quickly as he can. Behind him, I believe that is Kevin Cordice, who caused a massive accident from last week. And behind him, I believe that's possibly Degan, Venari, and the whole likes of them coming round this right-hander. And look at this, I'm saying Begley might be falling back. He's right on top of Neil Harvey as you come round the third to last corner. All Nelson holding on from Fan Schmidt pretty well, it must be said. There's Cordice, there's Degan, there's Stephenson, I should say, rather than Venari. P70 as we come round this final corner. Not too much to do. No real overtaking moves, mind you. There's Stephenson on, yep, Lucas Degan. And Stephenson moves up into that position. Coming down now onto the second lap. We are on lap 2, coming into turn 1. Is Stephenson going to have a look on Cordice as well? Oh, goodness me, if he manages to pull this off, what a great move from Stephenson there. He's up into P4.
Oh, driver's definitely fired up
sorry.
going into this race. And I think one thing we can learn from Dave Begley is that he may have a broken arm, but he does not have a broken will or broken sense of motivation. How you can see just under him now, I think he's actually coming under a bit of pressure, trying to hold off that pace from Franschmidt, and he does a cheeky nudge there, but holds him off when he's coming under real pressure, a bit of a squirm, but manages to hold on to that one. And Begley really fighting for his life right now. Franschmidt going all over the back of him, trying every door possible, but Begley just not letting him through, parking his car in the exact right places at the right times. When can Franschmidt find a way? Begley's been pushed quite a bit there. That's very close. But aggressive driving seems to be the way forward here at Jacarepagua. Let's see if he can try and make it stick then. He's got the inside line, and Begley may have to surrender this one and try and get the cut back. Indeed he does. Textbook stuff there by Begley. Pulls alongside then. Will have the outside line for the next corner. Tries to swoop it round, but nothing. Got to be careful. It's a very hard charging, and that was very close there. And they can see Stephenson as well trying to get his nose in the business. So let's see how this all pans out. But right now it's turning to the almost Begley Brigade, I think. I think every driver's going to have their own little train. So Begley Brigade is definitely strong here. As you can see, Kevin Cordice having 3 men all round him. Trying to get contact. And Cordice has been hit. All the way is Stephenson. Barely. I think Stephenson had a risk of a lifetime, and that would definitely woken him up. He gets it going again as the rest of the field stream through, but the first major contact of the race, that could have been a lot worse to say the least.
Yeah, Clay Saxon also caught in there. I think first carnage of the race, first carnage of the weekend, I'd say. That's the first major issue I've seen. I mean, obviously we had the retirements earlier, but definitely the first one we've seen on TV, and oh, dearie me, Lucas Degens lost his lips as well. So yeah, massive trauma there for Cordice yet again. Caught up in the carnage. A shame really, as he was bugged by, that was number 70, that was Stefan Vandenberg, and well, a real shame for him there. Not sure really who the reserve drivers, we have a lot of reserve drivers in today, but Lucas Degen obviously losing out there. I'm just wondering if we can have a look at the pull up further on the field, because unfortunately our standings on the left hand of the screen only go up to P13, but actually while we're there, Allinson is up to P13, Gormley is up to P14, and one of the Hughes brothers is, goodness me, he's up to P8. I wonder which one that is. So let's quickly go down the field. We've got Harvey P1, Fanschmidt P2, Dave Begley in P3, with Hall Nelson P4, Stephenson P5, Vandenberg 6, Ferreira up to P7, one of the Hughes brothers in P8, Brugman or Bruce in P9, and Vernonson in P10 with Venari in 11th, and Allinson also on the back of this battle too. Yeah.
I'm going to take exceptionals up here already then here, but in 5 minutes the drivers seem to be a lot more fired up than they were in the first race. All settings aside then, it seems like contagion negativity has definitely left the paddocks. You see Hughes look up the inside here. That's a very risky move. As he's going to try and hold that inside line though, he's going to try and swoop it round, and he's made it stick. Great stuff there by Hughes. He needs to try and push through the field as well. As there you see Franschmidt's teammate just in front, and this is going to get very interesting very quickly. Let's see how this transpires.
Yeah, so this is Nick Hughes behind Anderson. That means that Jimmy Hughes is the man up in P8, Anderson P11. He's got a bit of work to do before the rest of the 19 minutes are out indeed. And one man which actually is absent from the top 22, which I can see, is Brautigam. Where is he gone? He's definitely not in the top 22.
Yeah, that's a bit weird actually.
Would have thought he'd be up there in top 22, given that the rest of the drivers from the top 3 are up there. So I guess we're going to probably lose him there. Oh goodness me, a bit of drifting action from Fanschmidt, but he's going to be right in the slipstream. And look at this, he's pulled out quite a big gap. Back to Begley, Hall Nelson, who's now under pressure from Stephenson, and Fanschmidt will be definitely looking to take the lead of this race. He'll be very interested to see where he is, and he takes the corner nice and easily, does Fanschmidt. And oh, it'll be interesting to see if he wins a race this season, especially after crashing out from last race indeed.
Yeah, and also a bit of an update there from a resident cameraman from Henderveld. What happened to Broughtingham? He's actually crashed out due to his own error. So, from a fairy tale story to a nightmare ending, it seems it just wasn't to be his weekend. And it looks so promising as well after race 1, but I'm sure he will be back even stronger next week. But for now, that leaves Fanschmidt in the lead at the moment. He really has done a great job so far. There you can see Harvey second. Begley still retaining third position there. He's got to be said, he's doing a good job despite having a broken arm.
Hughes. Sorry to cut you out there, but Hughes has just got past Ferreira there. He's up into P6 now with Allenson still stuck in the traffic in P9. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there's really kind of speechless here as to what's going to happen, because obviously Allenson is going to be, he's only 2 positions behind now. I believe he's got Brugman between himself and Hughes, but this really is going to be no biting stuff, because both these guys are obviously going to want to negate each other's results. As we have Stephenson now, he's got past Hall Nelson. He's been hard charging since the start, and the man with the broken arm is in his sights. He will want a podium position for certain. I believe he's been one of the more unluckier throughout the areas. There's Hughes in the background. He's going to want to try. Oh, mind you, Ferreira's got past back Hughes as we were looking at that picture. So good job from Ferreira, the man returning to the competition after a good few weeks out. Good to see him battling with Hughes, as there was someone off the track there for certain. And Stephenson looks to the outside. He looks to the inside now, and he's got a much better drive out of that corner than Begley, who goes off the track and almost contacts. But thankfully, nothing doing there, and Stephenson moves up into P3. Begley clearly struggling now with his injury.
Yeah, I think it's definitely beginning to show now. Of course, it's more of an endurance event, and it'll just feel a bit more painful now for him as he goes wide again there. He's got to be a bit careful as Chris Hall-Nielsen now looks up the inside. It should be an easy manoeuvre. Yes, It is. Will Begley get the cutback, though? It's a long, long corner to try and get it, and he almost breaks there, so he doesn't hit him, and that's going to cost him the run out. So things going still not too bad for Begley, to say the least. You can see Hughes in the background still trying to make a move on Ferreira there for P6. Let's see what he can do. You can see him in the background of this shot as they go in towards turn 1. He's got the outside line. Very good defending there by Ferreira. As you can see, Begley wants a bit of contact as well, and somehow Ferreira holding on there. So great stuff by Ferreira, not going to be pushed out of the way lightly.
Look at Dan Allenson
as well. Yeah, Dan Allenson want to try and get in the mix up here as they go in towards turn 2. Let's see what happens. Hughes round the outside. Allenson almost swiped away. And that could have gone very bad very quickly, as there goes Begley off into the background, and I think that's a safety measure, to be honest, to let them all through without causing any contact. Very well played there by him, to be fair. Great respect for him towards all of the other drivers involved in this little social gathering here. You can see Hughes trying to chase down Ferreira. Hughes, though, with his rear mirrors view of Allenson at the moment. As Hughes is going to be so careful now in his position, which you want to go on the offensive and get into that top 5, but you've got to go defensive as well. Wide. Because if Allenson goes past, this could be the difference in the championship, and he must know that. So as they go in towards the next corner, let's see if one of these 3 drivers can get the best run. It looks to be Hughes at the moment as he looks to the inside here. We'll have the outside line for the next corner, swoops it round. Got to be careful. Allison's going to have a cheeky look up the inside, is he? No, he's not close enough this time, but look how close they are. Practically pushing him down the straight here in towards turn 1. Having the inside line, reluctant to give it away. Allenson zooms down the outside to try and take them both, and he's going to surely take Hughes round the outside. He's going to take the race. That's never going to work, surely. Hughes holding that inside line with everything he's got on that tiny engine, and a bit of contact, and he's got it. Allison's got it.
Goodness me, what a fantastic move. I don't know who to cut off anyone anymore. As Ferreira looks on the inside, I think I was, before this move, as Allenson looks around the outside of Ferreira, I was going to say, looks like Ferreira's going to play a Petrov role almost from 2010. And oh no, there's contact between Allenson and Ferreira. Throw goes wide. And where's Allenson in all of this? Allison's, he's falling behind Jimmy Hughes. Ferreira back on track. And has Jimmy Hughes actually, this has worked out better for him. As Allenson tries to sweep around the outside, Allenson getting so racy now. He's just trying to find any way past, and it's just worked terribly for him. He had the move done, but because of his over-enthusiasm, now Hughes has passed Ferreira, and the roles are completely switched. And now Allison's going to have to get past the Brazilian for 6th place, as Hughes is now trying to get on the back of Hall Nelson round. Oh me, this final corner with 13.5 minutes to go. Oh goodness me, we crossed the line, having a bit of indigestion here in the commentary box. As Jimmy Hughes looks to the inside, will Hall Nelson try to defend his position? Yes, he will, he cuts almost across Jimmy Hughes, and Jimmy Hughes going on the inside, a great move by the championship contender. Allenson must be kicking himself, and he should be. What a silly move to throw away his position. There's Ferreira cutting across, he's looking for a move on Hall Nelson, of course, to try and take P5 away from the Brit. It's not going to happen, and Allenson, oh goodness me, is he still going? Allenson trying to look on the inside of both of them. It's not going to work. It's too tight a circuit to do that round here, as he found out to his disbelief the lap before, and dearie me, it's all falling apart for Allenson after that terrible mistake.
Yeah, and this could really be the difference. And oh, and there's a big slide there, and he's drifting it round the corner.
Oh my God.
How did he hang on to that one? That seemed like inevitable dismay. As through goes Ferreira. Allenson trying to do the same though, up the inside here of Hall Nelson. Can he make it stick? Is it starting? Is it sealed? Yes, it's delivered, but he does go wide, and now goes an all-out assault package onto Ferreira. This has just got so much more interesting, as they can see just behind that's Gormley trying to get his nose in, I think. They've got a good popcorn view, I think is what I call it, as Allenson tries to set his sights on Ferreira. I don't even know where to look anymore, there's so much action going on.
Crack open the logs, everyone. We've still got 12 minutes to go as Hall Nelson begins to defend from Brugman going into turn 1. Will Brugman try and get the cut back? Yes, he does. An excellent move there from the relative newcomer. He only joined halfway through the season, already impressed. Now we've got the silent killer Gormley. P9 currently. He's going to look for a move on Hall Nelson as well. Begley managed to hold on to P10. Fair dues to him. Remember, he's racing with a broken arm, and there we go. Gormley dives through almost, goodness me, on Hall Nelson, who tried to kind of cross. Bad move, and Gormley takes the position. Begley's going to try and capitalise on Hall Nelson's mistake, but Hall Nelson almost is absolutely slapping Begley across the track. A real tank slapper, saying, no sir, this P9 is mine, keep away. There we go, there's Hughes, and he is under pressure. I was going to say under pressure. Hughes has got past Stephenson as well. He's now in the podium position, and oh, this is all falling apart for Allenson. It must be said, you can only blame him. He was the one who was over enthusiastic, so he might have just thrown away a very good result here. Had he not had that worry, then he might be in that podium position right now. Fair dues to Harvey though. I mean, we saw Van Schmidt overtake him a good 3 laps ago or so, but he's still hanging on in there, just like Brautigam was to Allenson from last race. So possibly another podium to add to his name from this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he might as well change his name from a race to welcome to Jacarepagua for 25 minutes of extended bumper car racing, because this has been all out and out touring car racing. As they can see Allenson trying to get alongside there, as you can see Ferreira just almost getting the better of him there, but it's still an assault package being launched by Allenson's caught them extremely quickly. And look who they're catching as a duo there, because just in front of them is Stevenson and Hughes, who is now into P3.
Yeah, we noted that earlier, and it must be said actually, Stevenson is not letting go, is he? He's humbling Hughes with his speed here, worthy of a podium position. And that's possibly why Hughes is slow enough for the two of Ferreira and Allenson, as there is, we see in the mirrors there, a bit of action. But the two of them definitely catching these two. So fair dues to Stephenson for keeping up with the championship leader at the moment, Jimmy Hughes. Looks like, once again, they're not going to make any indent into the top 2. Jimmy Hughes just doesn't seem to have the pace to catch up. But once again, we must remind you, 9 minutes and whatever remains of the last lap to go, anything can happen as we now move on to the next lap on board with Allenson, and he doesn't seem to be getting past Ferreira anytime soon. He had the better of him when he made that mistake, but now he's back on form, and it must be said, I don't know whether to be frustrated with Allenson or excited because of all the racing which is happening. It really is a do-or-die move, which will, in the end, decide it, I think. And it might end badly for both of them. It might end well for Allenson. But either way, Ferreira, very impressive on his return, keeping a championship contender at bay in P5.
Yeah, and I think if you compare this race to race 1 as well, and the actual amount of overtaking that we saw, as you see Hughes trying to further extend his charge to the front, but the actual amount of overtaking was quite limited. We didn't see too many aggressive manoeuvres, but I think going into race 2, the results have established that certain kind of tension, and a lot of drivers have begun to realise what's at stake, hence the almost sudden urge of desperation coming out of some of these moves, maybe for some of the most exciting racing we've seen all season. Still, Van Schmidt holds that lead. As you can see, that number 37 of Van Schmidt doing a very good job at the moment. It's got to be said, he's just driving a nice clean race ahead of Harvey, and then you've got Hughes in third. There's still a lot to be decided in the final 7 minutes, but a very different race on all levels from what we saw in race 1.
Van Schmidt, we can definitely see now, he's 30, pulled away from Harvey there, who's falling back like a stone in water. It will be interesting to see whether Jimmy Hughes can actually catch him by the end of the race, because a P2 will do very nicely, add to his consistency for the season. On this next lap, Allinson still hasn't got past Ferreira yet, but behind Jimmy Hughes we see Stephenson, Ferreira and Allinson tucked up behind Ferreira, all in the hunt for a top 6 position. Ferreira once again cutting across Allinson. He knows how to defend this Brazilian, and if he gets the opportunity to attack Stephenson, he'll probably be right on it, given that he wants to get Allinson right back off of his tail. Have you had a problem with the broadcast? I wonder. Oh no, yep, apologies guys, the broadcast has frozen for a bit, so we shall try and get this sorted as quickly as we can. Oh, and here we go, we are back. We are back. Unfortunately, we have lost Liam Jenkins, but hopefully he will be able to get back in as soon as possible. Just keeping on. Oh, is that Mr. Liam back? Good.
Yeah, sorry,
good.
my connection dropped.
While you were gone, Stephenson has fallen back behind Ferreira and Allinson. But remember, Allinson is still behind Ferreira. That's the main thing. And doesn't seem to be making any indents on him whatsoever. There's Gormley in the background holding off from Lars Brugman. He's going to want to try and get a better position than this to help his championship. He's currently P4 in a battle with Van Schmidt and Foth for 4th, 5th and 6th in the championship overall. And it must be said, he's only 4 points ahead of the two, but this P1 from Van Schmidt so far will be doing him wonders, as we see Venari now is up into P10 past Broken Armed Begley. And Begley is actually going to have Levine on the back of him now, so we'll be able to see whether he manages to keep a hold of him on for the rest of the race. Oh goodness me, a massive moment for Levine there, and he'll have Nick Hughes now, not made much of a dent in this race. He's currently P13, making that P12 as he passes. Oh goodness me, is that? Yeah, number 77, Remco de Wilt in the background there. And yeah, the main loser there, Levine, unfortunately, who now finds himself in the midst of this midfield battle with Anderson in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got a great view of this one as well. There's 6 minutes left in the race then, so it really is becoming do or die moments here, as you can see that great M&M's car off Mr. Scott Webber. Let's see what he can do later on. He's done a fairly good job today, Scott, up in P22 at the moment, so we're hoping for a little bit better. So we'll have to see what transpires in these final few minutes. As you can see, back towards the front of the field there, Van Schmidt is still leading. And it's got to be said, Van Schmidt, as we said before, done a really good job of just holding his composure and keeping out for all the, not so much carnage, but and there goes Casa de Munt. That's a big moment.
Same case for him and Brautigam, isn't it, really, from hero to zero after such a good race 1. Not used to starting from the back, really, of race 2. And oh, hello, Nick, sorry I lied, Jimmy Hughes has got past Harvey. And even though Alan in the background there has got past Ferreira, yet again, things have not fallen into place for him because of his over-enthusiasm from earlier. He gets past this person, Jimmy Hughes has just got past the person and into P2. Will he be able to catch Van Schmidt for the lead of the race? It'll be a monster task for him, but it is possible. We've seen much more crazy things happen than that. As now we go back to this battle between Alonson, Ferreira and Gormley and Brugman and Stephenson there also, who's fallen back yet again into P8. Paul Nelson's back in P9 and Venari still holding on to P10. Going around this turn 1 onto the back straight. Will Stephenson have a good slipstream? We've seen him not actually make much impact whatsoever in the past overtaking moves. It's all been about the actual exit of turn 1. And indeed, yet again, I actually lie, as we see a massive team viewer thing pop up in the middle, and oh, whoa! I was going to say Stephenson's gone through. He's gone shopping. He's off into the forest. And where on earth is he going?
Always got to be careful. He's got to be careful. I think he may know the off tracks is like a bit better than the actual track itself, but navigated his way back onto the circuit miraculously without A, taking anyone out, and B, without making too much of a loss either. But
I don't think he's lost any positions. He's still in P8. So after that very interesting off-track excursion, the Stephenson, we now move back into the battle for Alonson. He's still P4, but I don't see him making any move on Hughes. He's too far up the road now after being held back by Ferreira for at least 4 laps now. Gormley is going to have a very tough time getting past him as well. We've seen how well he defends over the lap in total. And well, it must be said, would you say it's his fault, Liam, or is it just, you know, cruel luck that he's found himself behind Hughes yet again?
I don't know, it could be cruel luck, it could be just a sweet bit of karma. Obviously, I think that Allison's done a good job though today of getting himself into P4, but Hughes has just been that bit more feisty. I think whilst he's been extremely aggressive, he hasn't been a bit too wary, if you know what I mean. He's gone for the manoeuvres which he knows he will make mistake. Whereas Allison, I think, has just been a bit too aggressive to an extent, and gone for manoeuvres which may not have the same success rate. And because of that, Hughes has been able to capitalise on the opportunities given to him. And of course, we saw a bit of an incident earlier on with Allison, which may have changed the outcome of this race as we know it. But one thing's for sure, Hughes sits in second and is reeling in Van Schmidt right now like a fisherman. 58 seconds left. We should have one more lap of racing, which means it's all going to come down to a final lap. And how much does Hughes want to push? How much more has he got in that tank? And is it enough for a race victory?
I think one of the more interesting questions is how much is Van Schmidt going to want this win? Is he going to go all out for this final lap, or is he going to be a bit more conservative, let Hughes try and get on the back of him as we do start the final lap, piling into the hard-braking turn 1. Van Schmidt takes it nicely, not kissing the apex until the very end, not kicking the wall, and onto the back straight. There is Hughes, there is Harvey, who it must be said, from pole position, he's only fallen back 2 places, better than other drivers. He'll be happy with P3. There's Anderson away back in P4 with the Ferreira and Gormley battle with Brugman and Stephenson on the back of that. Wilt up into P9 and Venari in P10. And mind you, yep, there is the battle now with Gormley and Ferreira. Very good drive from Ferreira, considering that this is his first week back, considering the calibre of the drivers as Gormley tries to find any way to get past. You know, a great drive from him to stick it in P5, but it must be said, for the majority of the race, it has been all about this man. A man who crashed out in the dying moments of last race. He's gone, unlike others, from hero to zero. He's gone from 0 to hero, entering the final corner. It is the first win of his championship career. It's Andy Van Schmidt taking it home for his team. A well-deserved win. Jimmy Hughes a well-deserved second. Harvey a well-deserved third. And this Ferreira holding on to 5th. Gormley 6th. There's Ansom's in 4th. Brugman 7th. 7th and 8th. DeWilt coming home in 9th with Venari 10th. Paul Nelson 11th. Nick Hughes didn't make much of a dent on the race, unfortunately. He ends P12. Levine P13. Bernardson 14. Anderson in P15, the broken armed Begley, very well done to finish the race in 16th, in Andre 17th, Fuller 18th, Bishop 19th, and Bijal 20th.
Yeah, so an absolute brilliant job all involved there, but stern congratulations to Fanschmidt. It's got to be said, his first career victory here in the mini-series, and it's thoroughly deserved as well. Holding up Hughes' arm, I mean, you've got to be feeling that pressure. Hughes was hungry for a victory to try and get back at Allinson after the events of race 1, and he just held on, or mainly more importantly, held his composure, and has crossed the line with a victory, and it's got to be the best feeling in the world for him right now. And I'm sure we'll see if we can hear from him in a few moments when we try and get some driver interviews.
Absolutely, I'm cracking over for my cider after that. I told you that Fanschmidt was improving, and yes, he took a bit of a nosedive last race, but this race win proves he has the pace to be up at the front, and well done to him. He'll be absolutely thrilled with holding on to a hard-charging Jimmy Hughes, coming back from, I believe, where did he race in, where did he finish in race 1? I think he was 3rd, wasn't he? So I think he started P32 or so. The P2, again 30 places, certainly isn't a bad effort.
Yeah, indeed. So let's see what can happen here then, as we just get ready for the drivers to return back to pit lane, have a second to breathe, and then of course we'll try and get a few of them in for an interview to hear their thoughts of the event. I'm sure you've heard enough of mine and James's thoughts of today's event already, so we'll get some other views on the events which have transpired in front of us here at the trickiest circuit to produce in the world, probably Jacarepagua, and we'll see if he can try and get a few drivers in. Now you can see Scott Webber rolling down the pit lane. I think he'll be quite happy with his result today. P21 overall. Would have hoped for a bit more, but nonetheless a fairly good result overall. So we just wait to get a couple of drivers in. I'm sure they'll need to take a couple of minutes to take a breather first, though.
Yeah, and well, we've only got one race left after this. It feels like just a short time ago that we were starting this league, and already we're near the end, so it'll be very sad, but let's revel in the moment and let's start asking some questions to the drivers.
Hello.
So, yes, hello everyone. We've got a good load of drivers here today.
Hello.
Good evening.
Right.
Hello.
Okay, so I think
Before you say anything, James, can I just say, my missus has brought me a note. Tell Liam and James you haven't got a broken arm. Chris has.
Oh my God.
James, tell him.
Oh no. There we go, people. Christopher Hall Nelson has a broken arm.
Now there's no excuse you're
Not
back,
saving.
I think. No.
Now that, yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm in the same boat as Chris. My back's screwed and I'm on morphine.
There we go. So
And
back injury for Beckley. That's why. Right. There we go. Interesting chatting then. Let's start with Dave Begley then. You did pretty... Yeah, let's. You had a back injury. Starting from the front, you did pretty well actually to hold on throughout the field, but we saw you going quite wide for the charging pack. Was that a conscious decision that you couldn't hold them off, or was that a small mistake which led you to that?
No, it was the 6-foot bananas that I'm hallucinating. We're on the track dancing, and I swerved to avoid them.
There we go. Don't take drugs, kids. Don't take drugs.
I just made a few mistakes. I was looking in the mirrors and braking too late, and so just went wide. Lost about 6 places. But,
okay.
Up until then, it was okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a decent drive for you. P60 in the end, so good for you. Let's now go to Jimmy Hughes. Decent set of results. First time round, 2 places behind the hard charging Allison. But this race, Allison really didn't do well in the middle part of the race, and you capitalised on that. P2 in the end. Was that one of your toughest drives yet?
Yeah, I mean, in practice everything was going well. I thought the pace was okay. I thought everything was there, and I mean, come qualifying, to be honest, I had a shocker. Just couldn't put it together. Didn't put a good lap in. So started race 1 on the back foot already, really, and lost a little bit too much ground at the start to the front 2, trying to get in front of Geordie. Just about managed to get through and pull away. So yeah, I mean, I was out of tow by the time I got through. There wasn't much I could do, but sort of settle for 3rd really, and hope something happened up front, and just wait for race 2. But Race 2 was a complete surprise because I mean, from race 1 the pace wasn't there, and my consistency wasn't there. I was making far too many mistakes, and just managed to sort of get through and keep ahead of Dan and make a few places, but I had a little bit of contact with one of the reserve cars, so I'm sorry for that. Missed my break point. Did let him back through and eventually got back through. But yeah, was it second I finished in the end? I'm not.
Yes,
not
it
sure.
was. Race 2.
Yeah, so not too bad then in the end.
Absolutely good drive from you. On to Dan Allenson now. Winning race 1. Well done for that. Race 2. It can only be described as a mistake, I presume, crashing into Ferreira after you got past Jimmy Hughes. Was that over-enthusiasm, or were you just completely caught out by Ferreira braking, possibly? Or, what was your view on that?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't particularly impressed with his driving. I wouldn't put it down to my driving. I gave him a little nudge, I will say that. But I wasn't particularly impressed with his driving me off the straights. I was watching him up in front, the way him and Jimmy were. Well, he was literally trying to drive Jimmy off the track. I'm not quite sure what it is, It's, so yeah, I'm a bit confused about that race.
That's very interesting.
I don't know why people like that are coming along and driving like that. I mean,
that's really interesting. Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, myself and Liam were both of the opinion that he drove a fantastic race and that he was defending very well. We didn't see much sort of racing like people off track as such, but obviously, I mean, you're the driver, so I'm pretty sure we'll have a little look back at that in the. Yes.
As for race reports, that is at the end of the day. But no, pleased to take a win in race 1. Well done for Jimmy for fighting through the pack, and well done for Andrew Smith for the win in the second race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think let's give a proper hero's welcome and congratulations to Chris Nelson, who was actually with a broken arm for these races. I think very impressive. To finish the tour, really. I mean, considering the extent of the injury, not many people would expect you to turn up, and yet you did. You raced well as well. So congratulations to you.
Thank you very much. It was a struggle.
Worthwhile struggle.
It was. I mean, I've got my first decent set of points there. For some reason, I don't know why, I was starting off strong. And I was losing a lot of space within the middle of the race, and then I was getting strong again towards the rear. So I've got something wrong with my setup. But driving with the injuries hasn't really bothered us. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed it. So thoroughly enjoyed it.
Excellent. Good for you. Now it is time to say goodbye, and goodbye probably for the penultimate time. We are back with the drivers in 2 weeks' time for the final round at Taruba. I'm pretty sure that the Drivers' Championship will actually go to there. As I said, we've got penalties pending actually on the Drivers' Championship, so we'll bring you up to date with that. But it's a thank you from me for watching. It's a goodbye from Liam.
Yeah, goodbye guys, been a real pleasure again, and can't wait till Taruna for the final round.
Absolutely, and we shall see you on the 16th of November for the final then. Bye for now.
Bye-bye now.